Welcome to the On the Go podcast. I'm your host, as ever, Josh. And today, we're going to be doing things a lot differently. Just like the past two podcasts, this one is not going to be filmed inside of a car. Mainly because, well, the weather decided it wanted to be terrible today. In an unlikely turn of events, the spring, in the middle of April, well, not the middle of April, but the very beginning of April, decided that it was going to turn back into winter. Like hardcore. Just all of a sudden, no provocation, shitty weather coming out in full force. It was very, very unfortunate. So the roads are just a mess. Everything is slushy. There's snow all over the place. And I drove my mom to work this morning. I gave her a lift. And the driving was just horrendous. So I canceled the podcast. I didn't want to drive today, and I figured I would do a little something just one-on-one. So we're not in the car. We're in my house. Which is also good because the audio quality will be a little bit better. No bumps or anything from the road, so that's good. I really do need to get a microphone. But anyway, so let's get on with the topic, which today is going to be dogs. I have a dog. Her name is Molly. She's a black lab. We don't know for sure if she's 100% black lab, but, it's a pretty good guess that she's like 99% black lab. She's a rescue dog, I guess. Not exactly rescue dog in the most traditional sense. Somebody found her in a gas station, not in a gas station, outside of a gas station, an hour outside of Montreal, and they brought her to a local dog kennel, and our friend who lives there gave us a call and asked if we wanted to, have her, to pick her up. She was 3 months old at the time. And we said, yeah, because I wanted a dog. So we did. And, 10 years later, here we are. She's a good dog. I do quite love the darn thing. And today, I wanted to talk about a couple things about dogs and dog owners. One of them being dogs in cars, which seemed appropriate considering this podcast is on the go, although this one in particular is not on the go. Another thing that I wanted to say was, I love recording this stuff in my house because I don't have to get dressed. It's just the best. I'm literally just in a t-shirt and my underwear. It's amazing. I love it. And let's be fair, if I was driving around like that, there would be problems. Anyway, dogs in cars. So I take Molly in the car with me sometimes, but we've got her in the back seat, and she's got a little seat cover for herself there, and that's where she sits. And usually I drive a lot more defensively in that case, and not like a crazy driver that I am, because you kind of have to be in Montreal. But one thing that I do see sometimes, not very often in the city, which is good, but I do see dogs in the front seat, just sitting there with their schnozzes facing forward towards the glass, or towards the road, and it's not great. Yeah, don't do that. It's it's not the best thing. You should, in theory, be getting one of those harnesses that you buckle your dog into the car. Because, in all fairness, if you get hit, or if you hit someone, let's hope that doesn't happen, right? But if that does happen, the dog's going to go straight through the windshield. Or it's going to hit the front dash, and that's not going to be good, because there's nothing that's going to be blocking its trajectory. We have our feet planted on the ground, so if we go from 40 to 0 quite quickly, we've got a bit of a spring kind of situation with our legs that slows us down. Not the case with dogs, because their whole body mass is literally just sitting on top of the seat. They're going to go flying. And, if you're going fast enough, it can go straight through the windshield. Another thing is that it's a hazard to not only the dog, but yourself as well, because you could find videos online, although I wouldn't recommend watching them. They're kind of scary, of people hitting cars or hitting, a solid object, bringing them to quite a quick stop. And anybody who isn't wearing a seatbelt, usually it's one person in the car who's just not wearing a seatbelt, they get flung around the car like a popcorn kernel popping in a microwave. Like, they just bounce around all over the place. I wonder if that was an appropriate analogy. Popcorn kernel bouncing? Like a bouncy ball. Like when you bounce a bouncy ball in between two walls and it starts bouncing all over the place. Like that. And so your dog's going to do that. And, that can kill you. A dog slamming into you can kill you, which sounds weird. But yeah, that can happen. It's very dangerous. It's not so good. So it's a good idea to put him in the back seat and drive carefully. While most dog owners do that, you do get a few of them who put him in the front seat because it's cute. And, I mean, fuck, man, that is the cutest thing ever, seeing a dog in the front seat. It is. It really is. But, not the safest thing to do. So it's good to be careful with all that kind of stuff. And really, honestly, you don't really have, honestly, you don't really have time or energy to start buckling in your dog into the car like a kid. Like, nobody really does that. But really, it's just better for them to be in the back seat, either on sitting or lying down on the seat or standing on the floor. That's better because they're kind of wedged in between the seat and the chair. But, yeah, that's really it for transportation. I mean, there's also the trunk. If you've got a big dog, trunk is usually a good option. But the same thing can happen, which is unfortunate. The main thing is that you gotta just drive carefully. Moving on from that to dog shits. Dog poops. Dog pooping. I got a problem with this. Not with the fact that dogs poop, because everybody poops. If you haven't read that book, it's a good book to read. Everybody poops. But people are a bit of a problem when it comes to that because, most dog owners, again, will pick up their dog poop. It's a responsibility that, you pick up quite quickly. The dogs poop a lot. It's just basically an infinite poop. Dogs are infinite poop all the time. Poop, poop, poop. And it's, wow, weird. Not necessary to say poop 3 times in a row like that. But, yeah. Yeah, dogs, they take a shit, obviously. And, as the dog owner, it's your responsibility to pick it up. And, while most dog owners do that, there's some people who don't. I don't know why. There's obviously some cases where somebody will be walking their dog and, the dog poops, pick it up, and then suddenly there's a second ghost poop. A poop you didn't know what was going to happen. You weren't expecting that. But, dogs are infinite poop. They just poop whenever, however, it happens. And, you might not have an extra bag on you because, well, you used up your bag on the other poop. This doesn't happen to me because I'm very, very paranoid and I carry like 5 poop bags on me at all times. Even when I'm not with my dog, I've got poop bags on me, honestly. Which has helped in a situation where somebody was trying to run to the bathroom at a party and didn't make it, but we won't get into that. So things like that happen, and I guess the best approach to that is to, go home, throw out the poop and then go home, and then get a bag and go back outside and pick it up. It's a pain in the ass. It's an extra, 5-10 minutes of your time, depending on how far you walked away. But it's a good idea, keep it clean, because people walk there. And even if you're, in a park or something, well, especially if you're in a park, kids play there and stuff. It'd be the worst thing for a parent if they saw a kid, 2 brothers wrestling or something, or I don't know why it'd be 2 brothers, 2 siblings, whoever it is, like pushing each other around, and then one of them falls over, and then all of a sudden they've got basically tic-tac-toe, but of shit on their back. Oh man, that'd be the worst. But yeah, it's good to clean up after your dog, just for everybody else's sake. And something that happens in Montreal, probably in other cities as well, anywhere where you get snow, is that before the winter, what tends to happen is that there are, the people who haven't picked up the shit. The shit's just there. Usually there's like hot spots for that. It's like on the edge of a park, or, at the corner of some, small park or something like that, there's always a patch of grass that's just designated for dog shits. And so there's dog shits there, and then the snow comes in, and they get buried and frozen. And it's just, everyone forgets about them. And then, of course, what happens is that dogs will climb up these snowbanks, and they will do their business as per usual. And sometimes you just can't get to it. If you're older, and by older I mean, if you're an older person and you're not exactly, about to climb up onto a snowbank to get your little dog's poop. Yeah, I understand that. There's some, you've got a tiny bit of leeway there. I get it. And so what happens is that during the spring, all the snow melts, and basically just like all the shit smell that's been hanging around for the entire winter decides to come up. It's like, melting away the ice to reveal just horrendousness. And it's really a mess. I mean, poop does, dissolve eventually. Ugh, dissolve, is that the right word? Ugh, it's not a great word to describe that. But, it disintegrates is the word I'm looking for. The smell will eventually go away, and it'll just kind of disintegrate into the ground. But that's after, months of, people not stepping on it, because that is honestly the worst thing ever. Stepping in shit is the worst. I cannot describe how shitty, how shitty it is. Wow, unintentional pun. Good job. Pat myself on the back. But yeah, that's really bad. Pick up your shit. Pick up your dog poop. Of course, there are much older people who need a companion or a dog or something like that. And when they walk the dog, there are some times when they can't pick it up, which, as I said before, gives you a tiny bit of leeway. But, most of the time, other dog owners don't see that. They just see the poop. And it's like, wow, okay, well, somebody's left their dog shit here. That's not good. And it affects all of us. I remember there's been a bunch of times where I've walked my dog, or my girlfriend's walked my dog, and, she'll just be peeing, and she squats down to pee, my dog. And there's been people who've pulled up, and they've just started, going on and on about how dare we let the dog poop and not pick it up. And, my first reaction is to say, get out of your car and come take a look. And also, fuck you. But I realized that, they're probably seeing all this crap around, and they're wondering who the hell is doing it. And to be honest, so am I. So it can get quite frustrating. But, yeah, pick up your dog poop. So, if you're thinking about getting a dog, which, is a pretty good idea, you got to really think about what you're getting yourself into. I've had the dog for 10 years. I love her to death. But sometimes it's very problematic because, it's just myself and my mom in the house. So it's just two of us, which means that we have to take turns taking care of the dog. Now, while not everybody's situation is, that, two people in the house, a lot of you have more than one sibling, and, that's good. A dog turns into a family member, which can sound really corny to non-dog owners, but it's kind of true. Yeah, they really are. They really do become a part of you, and it's if you hang around with a family that has a pet, you notice that right away. But yeah, it's a big commitment. It's a lot of responsibility. I felt the brunt of it, especially when she was a puppy, because there would be a lot of times where I'd want to go out or I'd want to do something, and I couldn't because I needed to take care of the dog. Or, going out. Even now, going out is a bit of a process because I have to make sure the dog gets taken out first and then fed, depending on what time I'm leaving. But also, if my mom's out, I'm not going to make her stay home to take care of the dog, even though she does that sometimes. But you got to be fair with this kind of stuff. And if it's just two of you, if it's like, let's say you're a new couple, well, not a new couple, but you're a couple and you want to get a pet for yourselves, you got to realize that you'll both be sharing the load kind of idea, and you can test out the limits of what your dog is. The limits of what your dog is capable of. That sounds a bit too intense for the situation that I'm talking about. But, it's good to see, like, oh, okay, my dog can last 8 hours without starting to feel uncomfortable to go to the bathroom kind of idea. And that's helpful because you've got an 8-hour window. So, if you're going out for the whole night kind of situation, even though 8 hours for a whole night is, quite a while, but if you're pulling an all-nighter, you might need your significant other to take care of the dog or to let the dog out. They also need attention. They're like little kids. They need attention. They need to play and stuff. And they need exercise. So if you have a really, really busy schedule and you want a dog and your plan is to just take it out, kind of just like open the door, let it do its business, let it back in, and then leave and just ditch the house and go to work or go do whatever you are doing, then that might not be a great idea. You might want to reconsider that and either get a very small dog, very teeny tiny dog, because that would help in that situation, or there are other pets you can get. Cats. Cats are very good, unless you're allergic, of course, like me. I love cats, but I'm very allergic. It's a bit of a situation. But yeah, yeah, dogs are a lot of commitment. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility, and the bigger the dog is, bigger the issues that come with it. The medical bills are going to be quite high, and I guarantee there's going to be medical bills. As shitty and depressing as that sounds, there's always going to be problems, especially with purebred dogs. You should look that up. Purebred dogs have a lot of problems, and I wouldn't go to a breeder for purebred dogs unless you're really, really specifically looking for a dog because you have allergies, or that's really the only excuse I can think of, to be honest. Like, I'm sure there are other ones. I'm not a professional, but getting purebred dogs leads to definite problems. And I would just get a mutt. I would just get I would go to an adoption center and adopt a dog because they need to be adopted really badly. Um, they're the ones that are probably going to get put down first. Or even go visit the SPCA because they have to put down their dogs after a certain amount of time as well. Don't go through breeders. We've got a lot of dogs around. You can adopt them and they're good. You can train dogs, up until a pretty late age. Molly's still learning some new tricks. I don't know where she is actually, now that I think about it. I'm looking down my hallway. I have no idea where my dog is. But yeah, she's still learning a couple of things. I'm still trying to get her to shake on her own, which she does, but not on command. And I'd like her to do that on command, and not as we walk into the house, so that she can, spray mud and water all over the place. Not exactly the best. But yes, dogs are great. They're great pets. They're great companions. If you live in the countryside, dogs are perfect. They're great because you can teach them to be outdoor dogs, and might get you in trouble eventually because they might wander off and decide to mate with another neighbor's dog. So getting them castrated is a good idea, or fixed, whatever the appropriate term is for that. Yeah, what else? I mean, in the city, usually the larger dog you have, there are other issues with that. People are definitely more afraid of you or your dog in that scenario. A lot of times, what happens is that you'll have large male dogs will decide they want to go at it. They'll want to fight or something like that, which is purely just instinct kicking in. And a lot of people, I realize, in a lot of suburban households, the dog becomes a part of the family, which it does. Molly is definitely part of the family, but we definitely have to. We have, like, I'm trying to word this properly. We have to realize that they are dogs. Like, yeah, sure, she's a part of the family, but she's a dog. She's not. She's not like my little sister or something. Somebody said that before. I'm like, no, she's my dog. She's a dog, and no, I'm not gonna sit her at the table on a chair. She's gonna eat her food on the floor like a dog, and that's not mistreating a dog. I really have to emphasize that. That is not mistreating a dog. That's treating a dog like a dog. And people, yeah, people really do. They go crazy with it. Oh, it's my baby. It's not your baby. The dog. Like, I understand you have emotional attachment to it, and that's fine. That's fair. I definitely have emotional attachment to my dog, but she is a dog, and she she has dog instincts. 3 dogs make a pack, and these instincts kick in, especially in big groups of dogs, and sometimes they want to fight or play fight, and people kind of misjudge that as violent, instinctive aggression, and sometimes it is. Yeah, sometimes it is. I've seen dogs draw blood and then go back to wagging their tails and sniffing each other, and while that is dangerous, that's something that you gotta definitely try and teach your dog not to do. Sometimes you can't, and you have to adapt to that. A friend of ours had, unfortunately, the dog passed away, had a Malamute mixed with an Alaskan Wolf. Oh no, is it Alaskan Malamute mixed with wolf? Anyway, big dog, huge dog. When it went on its back legs, it would be as tall as I am. And I am 5'11". 5'11", and the dog was like a little bit taller than me. So probably around 6 feet when it stood up on its hind legs. And so we're talking about a big dog here. And that friend was taking care of a number of dogs. I think it was 4 or 5 dogs. He's got a big piece of land where he can actually take care of the dogs properly. It's like dog heaven, honestly. And so 3 dogs make a pack, and that dog was with 4 of the dogs, give or take a dog. I don't quite remember the amount. And yeah, that dog instantly became the alpha male, and that's just the way it was for the week that they were all there. And one of the dogs, which was a basset hound, it had around it where its neck was, it just had a hole about the size of a canine. And it was where the other dog bit it, and all the dogs were totally happy. There wasn't any fighting, but the big dog bit it once. And these are instinctive things that do happen with dogs because they are animals. I keep emphasizing that. So, maybe if you go to a park with how do I describe these people? Preppy, maybe? People who put their dog in the front seat of the car with them. People who, seat their dogs at the kitchen table and put their dog food bowl on the kitchen table, because they exist. They do exist. If you're going to a dog park filled with those kind of people, maybe you wouldn't want to associate with them. Just because, if a dog starts humping another dog, then there's a whole commotion about it, and they kick you out of the park, that's stupid. Dogs hump. They do that. Sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble. They also play fight a lot. And they get aggressive, and they run around, and they growl and snarl. And, that's the reality of having a dog. Like, even Molly doesn't. She's very good-natured. Yeah. That's that about instincts and things like that. It's very important, and you have to read up about dogs. Just because, if you don't, there's going to be a lot of surprises for you. Especially things you might not even think about. Dog food. You have to regulate what they're eating, or else, they'll get diarrhea, and that's not great. You can also give them extra bits of food. Now, I'm not saying from the table, because that's a big mistake people make, feeding their dogs from the table, food scraps from the table, because that's how they beg. And then, when you have guests over and you're trying to look good, and your dog's literally sticking their nose between their legs, it's not good. Or, nudging their arm, which Molly does, but it's to get pets and not food. So it's a little different, but still, trying to teach her to not do that. But, yeah, human food is okay sometimes. So one thing that we occasionally do during the summer is that we will freeze watermelon and then we'll just give it to Molly and she'll chew on it. And it's great because it's mostly just water with a bit of sugar in it, right? And so we've tested that out and, she's fine from that. What else? We sometimes on the weekend we'll give her a hard-boiled egg in the morning with her breakfast, which personally I think that's going a bit too far. I think once you start cooking for your dog, it's a bit, it's a bit much. It's one thing to toss a couple of like baby carrots into the food or something like that. Um, I know some people boil chicken for their dogs and they give them strips of chicken with their food, which I think that's okay. But once you start going fancier than that, it's a bit of a situation, a bit of a problem, I think. Well, you know what? Not really a problem. Whatever floats your boat, right? But sometimes it can get a little obnoxious and a little overboard. So be careful with things like that. But dog poop, going back to that lovely topic, that's one of the ways to tell if they're getting sick or not. And you got to regulate it, which sounds super gross. And it is, but you get used to it. If you're picking up a piece of poop in the morning and it smells bad. Not that it doesn't smell bad usually, but you get used to that smell, and it smells wrong. And you try picking it up, and it's like very soft. Oh man, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose subscribers off of this. But it's legit. This is what owning a dog is about. You got to learn this stuff. It's a good indication that there might be something wrong with the diet, or there's an upset stomach, or something. Something's going on. They're getting sick. And that's you got to look out for these things, and then adjust accordingly. Usually within the first first year, you're looking at different kinds of dog food, and it's not good to switch between lots of different kinds of dog food. It's not like, oh, we're gonna try out this, every couple of months or something like that. Don't do that. Like, pick a dog food. What would be good for the dog, and stick with it. Keep that as their baseline of food. What else? Tell me what else to talk about. Something about their food that's very important is that if on the back of the packaging, because it says there how much you should be feeding your dog. It says if you have a large dog and it weighs 150 pounds, you should be giving it a cup and a half of food. What I do sometimes when I know, let's say my mom is going to give her a hard-boiled egg, which, whether I'm protesting that or not, she's going to give it to her. Yeah, it's just what she does. Anyway, not going to complain about it. So if she's doing that, then instead of giving Molly a cup and a half of food, I will give her a cup and a quarter of food. You see? So that it kind of balances out. And, if you're planning on supplementing some of the food with other things, that's okay. But you have to make sure that food is okay for the dog. So now we're going to talk about foods that are not okay for your dog. Chocolate. Chocolate is probably the most popular example of this. It's not good for the dog, and it's not exactly poison in the way that poison makes your bodily functions stop and kills you in most situations, I think. I think that's the definition of poison. I'm not going to look it up, but you can take my word for it. Chocolate just does not get digested by them, and so in a way, it just kind of clogs them up and can eventually kill them. So one of the ways to fix a dog that's eaten chocolate, that's not good English, to help a dog if it's eaten chocolate, is to get them to drink hydrogen peroxide, which immediately your body wants to reject it because it's hydrogen peroxide. So in that scenario, basically what's going to happen is your dog is going to throw up the chocolate, and which is good because it can't digest it. And that's, disgusting, mess to clean up, but better than having a dead dog. Because we love our dogs, and that would be bad to have a dead dog. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for things that your dog's not supposed to eat. Grapes aren't good. A lot of people will say it's because of the insides of the grape. That's not necessarily true. It's more of a choking hazard, but also the skin's not very good for them. Uh, you'll have to look it up. I actually, funny story is that dealing with chocolate, a friend of my mom's, her dog or his dog ate chocolate, no problem. They would have a Kit Kat bar together every week or something like that, and so that proves two things: one, that some dogs are okay with it, and two, Kit Kat's probably not real chocolate. Which is the most disappointing part to me because Kit Kat's one of my favorite things to eat. Uh, but even hearing that story, don't give your dog chocolate just to see. It's a bad idea. There are other things, definitely other kinds of fruit that aren't good for your dog and give them diarrhea. The acidity of it might also not be that good. If you're planning on giving your dog raw meat, that's fine, but you gotta make sure their diet is pretty stable. Like I know there's lots of country dogs that just eat meat all the time. That's just kind of what they eat, and they're fine, which is good. Whatever. But if you've got a city dog that's been eating kibble for the first 4 years of its life, and then for some reason you decide, oh, I want to start feeding it meat, it might not be the best because their stomach might react badly to it. So it's all very situational, and you've got to plan ahead and think about what you're doing before you just go ahead and execute it. What else? Definitely look into getting a dog before you get a dog. Look up every little detail about it because some things are going to surprise you. And I personally find that the smaller the dog is, the weirder it is to treat them medically in a medical situation. I mean, because they live forever, these little things. They really do. And it seems weird. Like Molly has thrown up before, and it honestly looks like a person throwing up. So you go, oh, so she's thrown up. I have to help her and clean that up, and you go about it, and it's not great. It's pretty gross, but you can deal with it in that way. But like a little dog throws up, and you're just like, ooh. Like that's literally the amount that I could spit on the floor. Like it's just so weird. The scale is just brought down to so low. Or this time I want my girlfriend's dog, and she has a teacup poodle, and this thing is tiny. And he pooped, and I picked it up, and it was just the tiniest poop. It was like the size of my finger, but which was hilarious because the bag was meant for poops for Molly, which are, bigger than that. Oh boy. Anyway, if you want to get into dogs, you can speak to a vet, speak to someone who's owned a dog before, which is a good idea. And that's it for today. I think I'll leave it at this. It's been, 30-ish minute podcast. I don't actually know. I have to check the time. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, hit a like, maybe subscribe. If you want to see my face and a guest's face, you should definitely write that down in the comments to see what kind of filming I should be doing. Because with the last video, I just filmed outside the car, facing the front. So you got to see, the driving experience, what I'm looking at basically when I'm driving. If you want to see more of that, then I would definitely write it down in the comments so that I know what to do. And all right, that's it for today. Bye.